All right, guys, Wes here. Welcome back to the channel. I'm a little bit under the weather, but the show must go on. So as you guys know, Cyberpunk 2077 may have had one of the worst launches in gaming history, but developer CD Projekt Red have been doing their best to revive the game's reputation, as well as to get everyone to realize that it's slowly but surely becoming the experience we were all initially promised. Cyberpunk is honestly in a really good place right now, and it's a ton of fun, especially for those of you that never really gave it a shot at launch. But the big news regarding the game right now is, of course, in the form of its upcoming expansion titled Phantom Liberty. But it's looking like the star-studded cast with Idris Elba playing Solomon Reed is not the only thing to be excited about, as we do have some pretty big updates regarding Phantom Liberty in terms of features, as well as a few other aspects like the release date, the release window, and when you should expect to see some trailers and the marketing hype. Also, real quick, guys, I'm giving away a PlayStation 5 for 110,000 subscribers. So if you guys would like to enter, all you have to do is subscribe to my channel, comment your Twitter handle, tweet me proof that you're subscribed, and I've also got some bonus entries in the pinned comment. So best of luck, and let's go ahead and get into things. So Phantom Liberty was first announced in September of 2022 after tons of rumors, basically 2 years after the official launch of Cyberpunk 2077 that released after the end of 2020. And since it's a single player RPG, it seems kind of strange for the developers to be waiting for so long to release new single player content. However, Cyberpunk, as we know, did not have the best launch in the world, and a lot of that time they could have been developing the expansion had to be spent cleaning up the mess and trying to repair CDPR's reputation with the gaming community. Now, we of course got the first teaser for Phantom Liberty in September of 2022 and a second teaser in December, but in terms of raw gameplay or an in-depth look at the story and changes being brought with it, we're still kind of waiting. Now, many people like myself are expecting CDPR to do a large demonstration sometime this spring or during the normal E3 time, but I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. No matter how you slice it, this is a really long time to be waiting for an expansion pack for a single player RPG. Now, for reference, most From Software games typically get their first expansion within the first 12 months of launch, and even CDPR's own previous expansion packs have come at a pretty swift pace. Witcher 3 launched in May of 2015 and got its first expansion roughly 5 months later, and of course its second expansion about 7 months after that. But Cyberpunk 2077 isn't getting its first and rather only expansion until roughly 3 years later after it launched, and that's pretty insane. They are really taking their time with it, and at this point, why not? You've already made people wait for a very long time for a Cyberpunk expansion, so why not just keep them waiting a little longer to make sure it's as good as it possibly can be? Phantom Liberty is already well beyond the normal time frame for an RPG expansion pack to be released in, so why not just lean into that and take things slow? It may not be the most convenient plan for the gamers, but it will definitely result in the best product possible. We've recently heard that the budget for Phantom Liberty is ridiculously high despite just being an expansion pack. CDPR's community manager recently confirmed on Reddit that the budget for Phantom Liberty is bigger than any expansion in the company's history, which could be interpreted as a pretty big deal because the Blood and Wine expansion for The Witcher 3 added roughly 20 hours to the game's story mode, as well as tons of new items to hunt for and new areas to explore. Obviously, budget doesn't always equal quality or the amount of content included. We do also have to remember that Idris Elba is a very expensive person to have on your staff, plus Keanu Reeves is back for this expansion, so CDPR really went all out on the acting budgets, but it's unclear just how much money went into the actual development of the game. Regardless, Phantom Liberty is still CDPR's most expensive expansion to date, and they're likely going to put a ton of money into marketing so they could obviously make their money back. There's also been some rumors that CDPR has been struggling during the production of Phantom Liberty. Aside from the project being gigantic and expensive, the company recently announced that they will be changing their usual strategy. Up until this point, CDPR has only worked on one AAA level game at a time, but a few months back, the company announced that they're greatly expanding their workload and are working on multiple projects at once, which will likely take some time for the team to get used to. But that being said, I'm not surprised that there have been multiple rumors floating around saying the production has been hectic and troubled, especially whenever you consider that most game studios only recently made a full return to in-person work. Now, the pace and drama aside, work is chugging along and there's still no solid release date attached to it. The studio is confident though that it will release this year. We learned a lot about the changes coming to Phantom Liberty recently with the game's director, and aside from the massive new story starring Idris Elba and the new region being added to the map, there are a number of quality of life changes coming to the base game as well. The police system has been completely overhauled, and there is going to be some new mechanics added for vehicle to vehicle combat, which is really nice to spice things up as you're traversing the map. There's also going to be a new gameplay loop for melee combat, as well as new actions added to the perk tree. Now, from the sound of it all, Cyberpunk players will have access to those new quality of life features, but if you want to have access to the new map region and experience the new characters and story elements, you will have to buy the expansion, to which it was previously confirmed that the expansion will not be coming to the Xbox One or PS4, so it's unlikely that these quality of life features will be coming to those platforms as well, although it is still possible that they may issue them to the 8th generation of consoles via a free patch. When it comes to the release date for Phantom Liberty, we don't know a whole lot just yet. As of right now, CDPR has not put out any official release date or window on the new expansion, but they said that they are confident that it will come out by the end of 2023, so I guess December will be the latest that we're going to get it. But as for when I actually think it's going to drop, my guess is this summer. There are some pretty massive games coming out later this year, including Starfield in September and Spider-Man 2 some point in fall of 2023. Typically, expansions aren't really too worried about the release date because they're being sold to an existing community while also trying to pull new people in. The marketing campaign won't be as big for Cyberpunk's expansion as it was for the launch of the game, but that does not mean it's not going to be a huge piece of content. Phantom Liberty is going to be a huge expansion, and CDPR likely doesn't want to release it next to any major game launches despite being an expansion. Phantom Liberty is going to demand a lot of time and attention from the player, which likely won't happen if there's another big game that's trying to grab people's attention as well. I'm expecting the game to come out sometime in the late summer, likely sometime between late June and the beginning of August. This way, Phantom Liberty is one of the only major releases around that time, and it won't be directly competing with the biggest games of the year. But if the expansion isn't coming out until the summer, when are we going to see it next? Now, this still isn't confirmed, but I'm 90% sure we're going to see Phantom Liberty at some point during all of the gaming presentations that are set to take place in the late spring and early summer. E3 is set to take place in early June. Both Xbox and Sony are expected to have their own big showcases, usually before the expo. The game has a history of showing up at Xbox events, so I think it's very likely that during the upcoming Xbox showcase, CDPR gives us a new trailer and maybe some kind of extended gameplay look, and then a reveal of the release date, which I'm guessing will be some point in the following 2 months. This is a pretty decent time to market the expansion and get people talking about it, but I guess it's entirely possible that the expansion is shown off during the E3 proper instead of at Microsoft's showcase, or possibly during Jeff Keighley's Summer Games Fest. Personally, I'd put like an 80% chance that we see Phantom Liberty during the Xbox showcase, but I am 100% certain that we will see it before the end of E3. I don't think that CDPR is going to miss out on that big opportunity. CDPR has been taking their sweet time with this DLC, and that's likely for a number of reasons. First of all, we have the insane number of bugs and content issues that had to be fixed after the disastrous launch of the game. That was the factor in pushing the DLC back a bit because the team had to prioritize the base game, which was a right decision. Get the game to a working state that people paid for is always a great thing. Then as remote work kind of chugged along, the pace and progress likely slowed down a bit because there's no way for a development studio to be at their most productive when they're not seeing each other and having collaboration in real work group sessions. And on top of that, the stakes are very high for CDPR right now because their reputation really rides on whether or not this expansion is good or not. The launch of Cyberpunk 2077 was a disaster, and since that fiasco, CDPR have announced a number of new projects, including a sequel to Cyberpunk and a number of new Witcher games. A lot of gamers still don't trust CDPR after the launch of Cyberpunk 2077, so if Phantom Liberty isn't good, they're going to immediately push a ton of additional support away from their current projects and future projects, and since this is going to be Cyberpunk's only expansion, this is their one shot of recapturing people before the release of their next major project. Cyberpunk is in a much better place right now than it was at launch, but a lot of people are still waiting for the overall experience to cross over into the masterpiece territory of The Witcher 3. If Phantom Liberty is an extremely high quality piece of DLC like The Witcher 3's expansions were, it could be the shot in the arm that the game needs to finally redeem itself in the eyes of the gaming community as a whole, which, as I said, CDPR seriously needs before their new projects are released. Right now, their reputation is rocky with the average gamer, and Cyberpunk's one and only DLC pack needs to be good in order for their reputation to improve before it's too late. Phantom Liberty so far looks like the major upgrade that Cyberpunk 2077 needs to make sure it's remembered as the awesome RPG experience it is, as well as a worthy addition to CDPR's incredible library. The launch pushed a lot of people away from it permanently. Phantom Liberty is going to be an awesome expansion of this universe, and from the looks of it, the quality of life changes being made are going to be fantastic adjustments to the base game. But what do you guys think about this? Do you think Phantom Liberty is going to live up to the hype, or have you given up on Cyberpunk 2077 already? Thank you guys for bearing with me on this video. I am really under the weather. If you guys remember that big global situation that happened not too long ago that got all of us a little sick, well, I happen to have that. I dodged it for 3 years, but finally it caught up to me despite never leaving my house. So thank you guys for bearing with me on this video. Don't forget to enter the PS5 giveaway. The details are in the pinned comment. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel with your notifications turned on. And until next time, guys, this has been Wes, and hopefully I'll see you guys again tomorrow.